CG. But then, you know, during that process, both Mr. Kim and Jin were learning about the demand for magical girls and teeny pink. You can see the miraculous influences in teeny pink and Mongly syndrome too.
Totally. Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think that, yeah, we do definitely talk about the teeny ping and miraculous connection a lot, just because it's so just visibly there.
Yeah. And oh, Miraculous Ladybug, such a beautiful show, and the toys are so spectacular. I mean,
Mm.
they're really special. So I'm hoping for that for Mongly syndrome.
Yeah, of course. From what I've seen from the Korean shows, the dolls are definitely a major factor as well. I mean, similar to a lot of the ones in Japan, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
just like it's very interesting to see that connection, especially because like they're often, you know, they're shorter. Like, could you tell us, for example, how long Mongli Syndrome is going to be, like episode count wise?
It's intended to be 26 12-minute episodes
Hmm.
for season one. That's the plan. As far as like going beyond season one, I don't think anything's been decided yet. But yeah,
Hmm.
26 12-minute episodes.
Okay, so it's the same length as a Teeny Pink season has been recently. That makes sense. I've noticed that, you know, because there's that model now, but there's also Juju, and also like more recently there was a Komi Witch Lara as well. Those were shorter seasons, but also like the same episode length. So it's interesting to see, because from the outside, like observing how they're doing that sort of thing. But yeah, that's super awesome. Really exciting. Wow, it's going to have a lot of competition, because I think there are so many magical girls coming out of Korea. It's really exciting. So I guess I'm definitely curious about what your part of this thing is as a international distributor.
So most of my work was done last year. So Jin Choi had received some support from the Korean government. There's a government agency called KOKA, and KOKA invested, or the way it works in Korea is that the Korean government sets up these competitions among the animation studios, and there are various presentations and so forth, and then they award essentially production money and also marketing support to the winning projects. So before my involvement, Jin had won some support from KOKA, and so KOKA sponsored his participation in Licensing Expo 2024. And so Jin got in touch with me to work with him to present Mongly syndrome at Licensing Expo. So at Licensing Expo, you're basically presenting, it's like you create a booth. It's in the Korea Pavilion. And so there are other booths of other intellectual properties and other companies. And the goal is to build awareness and excitement for your brand and get toy partners involved internationally. So it's not just for Korea, but toy partners, apparel, and anybody who would take a license, anybody who would license the IP. That's what caused him to connect with me last year and say, would you help on Mongly syndrome? So he hired me to go to Licensing Expo, but along with that, we had to do some localization and some development, and that ended up affecting the whole arc of season one. I worked with him to create a 6-minute sizzle piece that also I entered into some film festivals and competitions. And that's, I think, where you and the rest of the Magical Girl fans discovered, because I kept it under the radar. Like, I put it on Film Freeway so that I could submit it to film festivals, and we got some acceptances, but we weren't trying to build up a community at that point. It
Sure.
was under the radar, but fans found it, and then that's probably how I landed on your doorstep. And then I became like the connecting point for the fans, because Jin is very focused on production, but
Sure.
my role as marketing, I guess it crosses over into different things. So yeah, and that's fairly typical of me. I'll get involved with a property in one specific way. And then just because I'm a nosy busybody, I'll sometimes insert myself into other areas, and then sometimes people just detect my curious nature and they'll ask me if I want to work on other aspects of it. So I did represent the property at Licensing Expo last year, and I'm a writer too. I'm a writer producer, so I helped with the localization of all the marketing materials, with some of the episodes, and had influence on the storyline. It's a variety of different things. And then, yeah, so my credit on the show is producer, because that's kind of a catch-all title. That
Sure.
And then I guess you could also say story editor, because there was a lot of influence on the dialogue, the plot, and things like that. But it really won't be obvious until we actually get into the trenches of localizing for the English language, because I don't speak Korean. So
Sure.
I'm strictly like, when things are translated into English, then that's when I can come in and make sense of it. Sometimes it's necessary to impose new elements just when you're thinking of who's the potential anchor broadcaster and toy partner in the US. Okay, if we're targeting Disney, here are the things that we know that Disney likes based on previous experience. So we try to tailor it to that.
Sure.
So yeah, I know. So there's a lot of yap.
No, this is very interesting. I think a lot of the listeners will definitely be interested to hear, because when we usually talk to like people who are creators of the genre, it's usually more on the indie side of things, like comics or web comics, or like have only one creator and they're doing everything. So we always, like to read interviews and speculate about like, oh, what is going on, with the studio productions of stuff. But actually getting to hear from, someone firsthand is like extremely interesting. So don't worry, please keep going. I could just sit here and listen to you talk all day. I know you don't have that much time, but yeah, it is super, super interesting to hear about the world from that angle. Yeah. It is also exciting to know that because you're on board, that means that there is an intent for international distribution. I know that's not always the case.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Jin is very much has a global focus, and he always has. And I think part of that is just his international experience, living in the States. And I believe he spent time in other countries. Well, he has another studio that he's a stakeholder in from Malaysia. And so he works very closely with this Malaysian studio as well. So, I mean, he's a man of the world. So that reflects in his work.
Sure. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Like going back to like all the way to Z Squad, I know that like most of the people I know who have watched Z Squad, I know the English version was originally released in Canada, so that's how most of people I know who speak English who know it are Canadian. But it also has a big Italian fan base because it came out in Italy as well. Yeah, I think it's like super interesting to see that, and it's exciting to know. Like I'm sure that anyone who's making animation would love to have their stuff get distributed, internationally, right? I know that, because of the manufacturing, the toy reasoning of things, all that licensing stuff, it makes things more complicated, because we always wonder like, okay, there are all these, especially like even like Japan is making magical girls every year. Why don't most of them get distributed internationally? It's because they're for kids and they don't get the toy deals and stuff, right? That seems to be the general understanding. And so, of course, now with the Korean shows, and even also I think some of the Chinese shows, or the ones that are done by both, because I know Rainbow Bubble Gem is a co-production as well between like a Chinese and Korean studio. But it seems like from an outsider viewer's perspective, it seems like those shows, because they're shorter and they have shorter episode lengths, they're more likely to get more distribution, at least in terms of dubbing. Maybe not necessarily toys, but it would be really nice to get toys as well, because I know the kids around the world would love to get those toys.
Yeah, it's such a huge investment to make those toys, just making the molds for the dolls. And then when you consider all the costumes and the packaging, and then think about shipping and the state of the world right now with